No, I got it.
Yeah, meeting is
Ajmal gave the solution. Record to the cloud, it is now recording. So it is recording. Good. It should work. Yeah. Good. Thank you all. It says the recording. So Ajmal, you solved it. Okay, good. So the reason I want, so anyway, to me, that is an exact definition of a compassion, that, your daughter was willing to get in and sit in a cage is really is to try to alleviate the pain of the animal. I mean, which is amazing. So I want to relate two incidents from my life where people are compassionate to me and to Lakshmi. And then I want to go around and, kind of ask each of you, tell me where somebody was compassionate to you. And if you have time or another session, we can talk about when we were compassionate to somebody. So let me talk about how somebody was compassionate to me and Lakshmi. I want to relate about it because, that is what that particular photo triggered in my mind. So this is, I'm now going back all the way 1982 or something like that. We were fairly new in the US, and, we had one child. My eldest daughter, Akila, was born, and we are living in West Philadelphia in a small, very tiny apartment. And I just got a job as my first job at Temple University as an assistant professor. And one other thing we both got was one of the local persons was very helpful. Neither of us knew driving. So he helped us learn driving. So we learned driving, and then you had to pass a test. So it took some effort, but we did pass the test and we had a driver's license. And of course, then the next thing comes, want to buy a car. So we bought a car, the first car we bought. And I don't know how car buying happens in the India, but in the old time, car buying was a very interesting phenomena in the US, about which you can see I was fresh off the boat, only 5 years. I never bought a car. So we went to the dealership on a Saturday, and we are looking at a car. We liked it. We drove it, and the guy was a very aggressive salesperson. He said, buy it today, get it today. I will give you so many dollars off of the price or whatever it is. And we said, no, 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 we will come on Monday. He said, no, no, I had to increase the price. If you come on Monday, you better take delivery of it. And then we said, oh, we don't have any insurance. He said, no big deal. We will insure it for the weekend, and you take it on Monday, you go to the insurance company and get all your paperwork. So, novice, and we didn't have much money. So whatever incentive he was giving sounded very good. So I think I remember we had a marathon 4-hour session or something. We had to sit around with Akila hanging around with us, and we signed the paperwork, got the car, brought it home. So then the requisite was Monday. We had to now take it to the insurance company to, get it insured as such. And we were living in West Philadelphia, and this whole dealership was in North Philadelphia, around 30 miles. It takes around 40 minutes. Philadelphia traffic is always atrocious. And so on Monday, I go to my work, and Lakshmi was home. At that time, we were expecting our second child. So she was pregnant also. And you can see how, anyway, I will tell the story and I will tell this. So anyway, I told Lakshmi, hey, we had to go to this insurance company. They close at 5 o'clock. I had to go to my work, which was in North Philadelphia. If it's Temple University is not in a great neighborhood, and it's in North Philadelphia. So I said, okay, I had to go there. You come there with the car, and we will drive. You bring it, and I will wait in a bus stop or something. And then, from there, we will go to the insurance company. And if you remember, in the 80s, we had only home phones. There are no cell phones. So anyway, I kept calling her, make sure that she will bring the car and get it done. So anyway, I finished my work around 3:30, come out, and as can happen in any summer day, we had a very heavy shower. It started raining like crazy. And, you know, and I went to the bus stand. So I left my room and I called her and she says, okay, I'm starting. And I said, okay. So I went up to the bus stop and so she started driving. And what happened is, as she was driving, and yes, she was a new driver, and we did not know that, and I did not teach her, I did not know also, we did not know that there is something called as fogging, that your windows can get fogged if there is a heavy rain and your visibility will be fully cut out. And she was running you know, the, uh, the wiper, but that did not help. She had very less visibility. So as she was coming, she went and there was a stationary car somewhere in some road, and she went and hit it very slightly. Not a big deal, but she hit it very slightly. But then she got extremely scared. She got very scared. She was completely upset. And now, my office was still around 2 miles from there. She has to somehow bring, and one child is sitting in the back. When the mom is upset, the child is also upset. Now, and now she has to figure out what to do. So she got out and, she was completely in a panic, did not know. So so the story she tells me is, so somebody was driving, some guy, and she flagged him down and they told him, hey, I'm stuck here. I can't drive. I'm totally nervous. I can't drive. I'm a new driver and my husband is waiting in this bus stop. I can't call him. I have no idea. Can you help me? And this was a completely unknown stranger. And this is not a good neighborhood. It is a black man, and she has to ask him, and that guy said, oh, no problem, you drive and I will sit next to you. And so he parked his car in the side and he said, you sit next to me, you drive, and we will go to the bus stop which he is talking about. And she said, no way, I can't touch this car. This is just too scary. I'm upset. You drive, I will sit. So she told him to drive. And, so she was sitting in the passenger. So you can imagine, after waiting in that bus stop for around 45 minutes, I see my car pull up and with a little dent. And of course, at that time, I was very particular. I'm sure I noticed the dent than them and what stage they were, because that is more critical. I mean, that is my mindset. Anyway, they get down and this guy comes out and Lakshmi comes out and she is pretty upset. And, this unknown guy whom I don't know who it is, I will never figure out who it is. That person dropped her, and then, we thanked him. And of course, I drove the car and dropped him back in the place. And then we got our insurance and everything else. But Lakshmi and I talk about it, this is in my mind a true act of compassion. Some random person willing to stop, and, anything could have happened. And, this is where, at least I believe in God and all that, this is like, how do you explain it, and, money is not important. And I think it also shows in my mind that I was not very compassionate to Lakshmi. I should have told her not to do this, with a child, and the child expecting what I did was not necessarily appropriate, but I was a very task-oriented guy, like, let's get this done today and, you can do it without thinking. And she kept telling me at home, this is hard. I said, no, you can do it, you can do it. And then, and that is a very tough lesson I learned. And, at the same time, I also learned that we all talk about not trusting people. Sometimes in life, we have to trust unknown people, and they come and help us like anything. So, and to me, that is a true act of compassion I saw towards Lakshmi. So I will talk about myself. I guess I have talked about it earlier. In 2019, when I had my heart bypass surgery, I had complications, and I was readmitted to the hospital because I was bleeding. And I had a, when I went back to the emergency room, they figured out that I was losing blood. So they had to start pumping blood in me. They were pumping in blood. But what was happening was, as they were pumping in blood, I was shitting it out. One way it will come in, and then it all will, because it is in the GI tract, so it will come out. And I remember all the nurses, everybody were scared. They were all telling, like, you can't live like this. You can't have continuous blood and it just keeps going. You have to stop it. So anyway, there was a GI specialist who was called in, and on the 2nd of January, she had to do a procedure on me, a surgery, or she has to patch all the holes. And the anesthesiologist was a wonderful lady, and she was actually of Indian origin. And, she told me, I won't put you under full anesthesia. I'm going to leave you partially conscious, because if I put you under full anesthesia, I don't know whether you will come back, given your seriousness and how bad it was. So she said, you will kind of know what it is, but you won't feel the pain, but you will be aware of what goes through. And I tell you guys, I saw what happened in that room, and I was a total disaster. That whole room, I was, excreting everywhere. That room was stinking like crazy. You wanted to run away from the room. It was really lousy. All my, things are coming out. And this lady had to sit there and find out the little holes in my GI tract and patch them one by one. There are 3 major holes she had to patch that day. And it took, I think, an hour, hour and a half. But, to me, that is compassion from the doctor, from the nurses. They did not get paid anything extra. They could have said, oh, this is an Asian guy, we can't fix it. And what can anybody say? Nobody is going to check on them. No, anything they can do. But because I was partially conscious, I saw how hard they worked. And I kept apologizing so many times that I'm making this whole room stink. And they were like, don't even talk. It is all fine. It shows that your body is functioning. So we are happy. So don't bother about it. And even now I think about it, to me, it is like the doctor and the nurses, the people who worked with me, their compassion goes much beyond, what I paid them or what I can ever pay. So, that's why when I saw that thing, compassion as a topic, it struck me. And here are 2 instances. So what I would like to do, if you don't mind, is ask each of you, and if you feel up to, this is totally left to you, to relate some incident where somebody was compassionate to you. So, that's what I'm looking for. So why don't we start with our Talaivar Gopal. So Gopal, if you can give us some incident, anything from the past.
Yeah, so I think when my father passed away when I was 16, and so I had 1 brother and 4 sisters, right? And so my brother was in college and I was in high school, and my oldest sister was married, and the others were. So when that happened, we were in Trichy at that time.
Can you put the volume up a bit, Gopal?
Yeah, so I'll probably come a little bit closer. Able to hear better?
Much, much better.
Okay, yeah. So I was talking about when my father passed away when I was 16. And so my brother was in college and I was in high school, St. Joseph's High School. And so I had 4 sisters, and then one older sister is married. And yeah, so when that happened, we moved into my grandfather's house in Tilanagar in Trichirappalli, and so my grandfather, took care of, of myself, my sisters, and everybody. And so basically lived in the house, and then I went to high school from there for a couple of years. And my older sister had, she had just started medical school, just before my father passed away. And my grandfather, he was a Freemason, and I think through the Freemason organization or whatever, he was able to get my sister a scholarship, and so, and also he was a very a compassionate guy, and he was a lawyer, but he was one of the guys that happy-go-lucky, and if he had good clients that paid him that day, we had a feast. The other days, just normal food and all that, and so I think that was for him to take over the whole, help the whole family till we got on our feet was very compassionate, and so he's kind of a role model for me, So, and he was, I was always admired his, his character and attributes. So.
Fabulous. Thank you, Gopal, for sharing. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
How about Ajmal?
Yeah, I can. Who was saying we have to go? I think I'll let this incident. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is an interesting incident. I don't know if I had narrated this in this forum earlier. This happened long back when we were newly married. I was working in Mumbai, Bombay. I was staying in a place called, in a suburb called Kanjurmarg. My work was almost near Bombay VT. Okay, but then when I was married, I was 24 years old, and then Noor was 18 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, so in the month of May we got married. In perhaps June or so we moved to Mumbai, and then took a house on rent and then stayed there. 8 years old girl, Noor was very young, and then not gone outside the state, perhaps not all that. Does not know Hindi, knows Tamil and a little bit of English. It's not very fluent in talking that time. So she was very new. What happened was, one day we said we'll go out. Not that we said, I said we will go out. So we want to go to the beach, the other beach. So we came to the railway station, suburban station. From Kanjurmarg we took a train and went to Dadar. We were supposed to go to Dadar VT and then cross over and then go to the beach. You all are familiar with Mumbai, almost all of us. So we took a train. We boarded a suburban train. We waited for the train. The train came very crowded. We couldn't board the train. So we left the train. The next train came. So one out of train we left. So finally we said, I said, you get into the ladies compartment. I will be in the next compartment next to you so that we can get together and then go out. So she reluctantly agreed. She got into the next train. She got to the ladies compartment, which was not that crowded. I got into the gents compartment and we proceeded. So I know that after the Kanjurmarg, the Vikramvalia, something, I don't know the stations. Finally, after Matunga, the Dadar will come. So I said, the 13th or 12th station from here is where we have to get down, and then we boarded the train. So the train proceeded, and what happened was, in Bombay, all of us have this experience. The train suddenly becomes fast train. So this skipped Matunga, didn't stop but Matunga. So she was counting the station, and then she skipped Matunga, didn't stop. So next was Dadar VT, which she was not supposed to get down. So next station she got down. I got out the other VT.
Oh God.
So she was one station ahead, and I was one station behind at the other right place, and she got in the next station. And I can imagine Lakshmi's condition. She was in the US, but then in Bombay, a young girl of 18 years, and alone, imaginary condition. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I thought should go to a police station or. So I was going up and down the train, skidding on every station, then searching for her. It spent about 2-3 hours that way, 2 or even 3-4 hours. Finally, I said I took a train and came back to the station. Got out Kanjurmarg. I was all in tears. I thought I lost my wife. I mean, nothing else I could think of. Then there she was standing in the station with a lady, an Anglo-Indian lady, a Bombay, I think Goanese or Bombay. She was with her, and then there, when she got down, somehow she conversed to her with her in English, and then she said, "Okay, I'll help you." And then she came all the way, took her back, and then she waited in the station. They both waited in the station, and then I could find her. And this is something which is a great thing which happened in my life. I mean, I couldn't forget. Of course, we never met the lady again. But then a lady taking the trouble of in Bombay, nobody bothers about others. They all very busy on their own life. So she from that session took a train and came with her and then waited there till I came and then hand over the young lady and then went back. That was really a story which,
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a point there. I think the women tend to be a lot more compassionate
Yeah.
than men. Whether we like to admit it or not, that's fact.
True. True. Okay. Now, Shankar, do you want to tell about any incident in your life?
Excuse me, I need to go to my daughter's place. I mean,
Sure.
Prakash knows, Hiranandani. So we'll just leave. I'll join the next session perhaps. Yeah? Sorry.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. That
Bye.
was interesting story. Compliments. Give a regard to Noor.
Yeah, sure. Bye then. See you.
Bye.
Tell her all your friends are so happy you found her again.
I agree with that. But what a scary time.
Bye.
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 Shankar, can
Oh.
you?
I'll have to think hard, and I know that there have been many instances of people showing compassion. I can't think of anything particular, but an incident of where I've seen others show compassion to people that I know. And so the
okay. That is
principle is the same.
Sure. Principle is the same.
And so we know, both Ellen and I, but also a lot of my friends know of a guy who lives here not far from where we live, a young guy, he's in his 30s, who has, he's from Louisiana, very attractive young guy, married to a beautiful woman. He has Lou Gehrig's disease, which is where you lose your muscles atrophy and you lose control and you're slowly dying because you completely, there's a loss of muscle control over time, and you need help for everything, all your functions. You can't get up and walk, essentially bedridden. But so he does have, with medical technology being what it is, and mechanical engineers being who they are, and engineering technology being what it is, he's got all kinds of aids to help him. If you can lift, put him on a chair, he's got this space age chair that can do everything, allow him to move around the house, take him to the bathroom, but then somebody has to help him. But nevertheless, he's mobile that way. And I've gone to his house to help him, and over time I've noticed that he's about 180 pounds, he's about 80 kilograms. He's a heavy guy.
Heavy guy.
I know I don't have enough upper body strength lift him. I used to move him. He was relatively mobile, but now I can't do it. But he's got, you can put a sling around him, and you've got a machine that lift him onto the chair.
Okay.
But every day, there's a group of us, I'm not that regular, but every day there's a group of us individually to his house. His wife works. She's got a very good job, and she's got to bring in the money, and they've got to pay for things, it's but every day there is someone who goes there after she leaves for work.
Wow.
And help get on his chair because he's in bed when she leaves. Okay, get him up, take him to the bathroom, take him lunch. They only stay through 2 o'clock or so. But every day there's an individual that goes and does this. And some of them have, I don't know, I know him reasonably well. I've cooked an Indian meal and taken it. But but this group of guys who go there every day, they take turns. And they've been doing this for years, at least 5 that I know of. I kind of dabble in and out as best I can. But to me, it's an amazing show of compassion because it's not pleasant, it's he gets irritated not at people who help him, but irritated at his own condition. That he is, at a young man of 35, he knows he's going to pass away. He's got this beautiful wife. He knows he can't take care of her. So there is a sense of frustration. There's a sense of inevitability. He knows that death is creeping up on him, but he maintains a very cheerful face. But it's the others who go there, and they play cards with him, and he's got this electronic Scrabble game that you can play electronically, because he can move his thumbs and his digits. And I'm just amazed. And a lot of times when I just brings me to tears at what people have done, just willingly, without expecting anything in return. Of course, he can't repay them in any way. And to me, that is it a lot of times acts like that restore, my faith in humanity, especially when I see the way people drive and the aggressiveness of driving and the wars and this and that. You have these acts of kindness and compassion that restore your faith, or at least make you feel that there are opportunities to do these kinds of things. If only we would avail ourselves of that, So anyway, that's my story.
No, well put, Shankar. I think it is wonderful. Matthew?
I talk about 2 people. I left India for the first time soon after REC. A couple of months later, in August, I went to England, and I planned to do a master's, and I had applied to 3 colleges. I had applied to Birmingham, Aston, Birmingham, UMIST, Manchester, and Imperial. And I wanted Imperial, but I hadn't heard from them. I got an admission in Manchester, so I went on the strength of the admission in Manchester, but I thought I should check out Imperial. So I went to Imperial and went to the person who was in charge of that particular thing, thermal power, that I wanted to study. And I said I had applied, but I didn't hear from you at all. And then he looked at me and he said, well, you can join. You can, but you have to start on Monday because it was already the weekend. You have to start on Monday because there's a pre-course computer appreciation that you have to do. I said, great. And then they said, have you got accommodation? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I'm living with my sister in Kent at the moment. So he said, go to the registrar and check. So I went there and I said, can I get accommodation in one of the student quarters or this or that and the other? And she said, it's far too late. Everything is completely booked and everything else. So I put on a really sad face and, wondering what the hell to do. And she said, well, there is a professor from the college who takes in 1 or 2 students. And if you like, you can try and meet him. I said, fine, I'll do that anyway. And this happened to be Professor W.K. Heyman. He's a mathematical authority. He is SCD-FRS. And so anyway, I went to the house and he said, yes, you can stay here. He had I think 6 or 7 bedroom house with a garden and everything in a really posh neighborhood, Putney, over there. And he said, you can stay in this room. So I stayed there. And actually, I stayed there for 7.5 years. Although the college was only 1.5 years thing, I became part of the family. And, breakfast was always with the family and things were going on like this. And the UK had a system then that you could, after your course, you could stay 1 more year for taking training. And I got into a company and went on to their graduate training program, which was 1.5 years, I think. And I could stay that 1.5 years. And so I was reaching the end of the training period, and I was telling the family that, I cannot stay any longer. I have received a letter from the Home Office telling me that as soon as the training period is over, I have to return to India. And so, I was kind of working out what to do in this. And then one day, about 2 weeks before I'm supposed to leave, Professor Heyman knocks on my door and he says, I think I may have some good news for you. And he said, well, I've received this letter, have a look. And he had written to the Permanent Undersecretary for Home Affairs in the UK himself.
Wow.
Explained my situation, and this was the response that told me that normally students are encouraged to stay, finish their training, and then go home and help their own countries and all that. But given that everything you've said about him, we're willing to waive this thing, and if he can send his passport along with this letter to such and such, we will grant him permission to continue in the United Kingdom. And this was totally out of the blue. And I spent the next 5.5 years with the family, became part of the family, and so on and so forth. So that was one person.
Fabulous.
The other person I have to talk about is, my son, he decided after his engineering, he was really floundering, not knowing what to do eventually. And then finally we said, best is you try and get admission to the US to do a master's program. So he applied and he got into Carnegie Mellon University. And this would be his first trip traveling out of India. So the idea was that he would be met by one of the student reps of the university to pick him up and take him up and familiarize himself with this, getting into the US, first time traveling into the US and so on. And so, yes, everything went, he got on, we put him on the flight and we kind of crossed our fingers and everything. And he missed his connection. I don't know, somewhere in Germany, I think it was. And so he got onto a later flight and he landed in Pittsburgh some 2.5 hours or 3 hours later than he should have.
Hmm.
And so then suddenly there is this frantic call saying, you know, Andrew is stranded in the airport and he doesn't know what to do, and he's it's getting dark and things are really looking bad. And my wife turned to me and said, "You got to do something and solve it." So guess who I rang up? I rang up our friend DSN Murthy. And I said, "Hey, I have this problem here, and you know, I know you're in Houston, but I have this. My son is sitting in the airport. It's getting dark, and he doesn't know what the hell to do." And so Murthy calls up. He says, "I have a friend in Pittsburgh. Let's see if I can get him." And he calls up his friend Ravi Koka and tells him, you know, this is the situation there. And Ravi Koka says, "Actually, I'm on my way near the airport, so I'll pick him up."
Wow.
So he goes to the airport and he picks up my son, takes him home, feeds him, gives him a room to sleep in, gets up in the, you know, and feeds him breakfast, and then drops him in the university from where he has to pick up. You know, I mean, that was an act of compassion that I cannot really, you know, and I'm eternally grateful to Murthy for having done that for him. But you know, that was something that, you know, I didn't know what else to do because I was not familiar with the US at all. But it kind of worked out, and there you are, Murthy. You can now pat yourself on the back a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, that chapter is closed now. You don't need to bring that up again.
No, it is not. It is good. It
Now
is
that
good. Good. No,
patted myself back. Yeah.
it is good to hear these. You know, I appreciate it, Matthew. Okay, how about now we go to Murthy?
See, I think the way I look at it is that our family of 11 brothers and sisters won't be what we are if there wasn't compassion in the world. Okay, every moment somebody was helping one of these 11 people. Okay, and that's what we are the products of that. And I think it's Sir Isaac Newton who said that, you know, we can look farther because I'm standing on the shoulders of someone who were there before. And that video that someone sent, I don't know whether Matthew or someone else, and what is that, Indiana governor who says the very last word, the smartness, intelligence of a person and the kindness. I think that combination is probably the word. The kindest person in the room is probably also the smartest person. Okay, that compassion and knowledge combination, you cannot beat that. So, given that I have lots of incidences, not just one or two, but
why don't you just share with us one incident?
Just imagine, you know, very recently, Chitra broke her arm.
Yes.
We haven't cooked for last 2 weeks, but I've been putting on weight. Why? Because I think all the friends, you know, it's a bottom line is what goes around comes around. I think that your fabric, your DNA, one of those strings have to be ultimate compassion. So I think that example of getting food every morning, I say, oh, this sambar, oh, aviyal today, oh, you know, adai today. I'm telling you, that I think this goes on. I think they've formed a group of people who can help each other. And you know, my own brother, this guy who passed away, I still am recovering. He was 4 years old and my father passed away, right? But that was he was called, you know, in IIT, you know, Nai, that means a dog. Why? Because he was compassionate towards the animals. Okay, he's like any dog, street dog, anything, it's like he was like that. And I think every piece of it, there was in the room, there was a 24-year-old guy in suit tie and all that, is crying, sobbing. And I looked at him and I said that, I said, I was about to approach him. His mother came to him and I said, is he okay? And she says, no, it's the last, couple of days he's been like this, because his favorite uncle passed away. This fellow used to be a little kid. So he would go, his mother would be able to wake him up in the evening. Even otherwise, he will go in the weekend, in the morning walk. He will go stop there with a, coffee in his hand. And he said, Chinmay, come on, hold my finger and wake him up and take him, brush him, have him brush him teeth. And then say, you want to go for a walk? And he'll say, yes, yes. He say, I tell you what, let me go make a round and I'll take you for a, that needs to come through every minute. Okay, if it's not in you, you are not a human being. We had a dog called Juno. I tell the world, that dog made my children human. Meaning kindness towards animals automatically turns, that compassion, you see it, right? Because there is a unadulterated, affection back from that animal, even otherwise, right? So anyway, I'll stop at that. I think you get the drift.
No,
There's lots of people. I tell you, every one of, I don't know who to. Gratitude, I said this many times. I said gratitude, ethics, integrity. These three pieces you cannot replace that in your life. So, okay, enough.
Thank you, Murthy, for sharing. Prakash, now it is you can finish up and go to the next one.
Yeah, I think we have about we are already close to just past 9, and Shankar is there to talk
Prakash,
about.
I want to hear an incident from you. Before
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll try to do it very quickly.
Yeah.
First of all, me being what I am, the word compassion doesn't come very easily to me. I am, as you said during your talk, Chetan, I'm a task-oriented person. So everything that comes my way, I see it as a task to be performed, a duty, a duty to be done. Whether it is to parents, friends, colleagues, whoever. So I don't look at it as a compassion, or that compassion is a very heavy word for me. It doesn't sit lightly on my shoulder. To me, I'm simple task oriented. I'm here. I'm in this situation. This situation needs to be handled. It's either my responsibility. If it is not my responsibility, well, I'm the guy here who's probably best suited to do it, so I must do it. That's how I go about doing it. So to call it a compassion, it doesn't come naturally to me. I personally, if you ask me, I am not a compassionate person. But acts of kindness, as you say, or people like one of you described, like I don't know, I don't now recall who said that, but some kind of you are in a situation where you don't know what to do. You need some help, or maybe it's not such a big thing, but you need help, and then here comes out of nowhere, it comes. I have done such things too, quite a few times. But when I look back, far too many people have done that to me. Then I can recall my having done to someone else. So just one, let's say one cluster of events is that, it goes back to the biggest event in my life, the much talked about, and many of you know about it, is our elopement with Maya, which I think I've recounted, or Maya has recounted several times to many people. So when that happened, there were a huge collaboration at several places. Maya's friends, my friends, and everybody got together to do that. So many people did many things. But one can say that, look, they were your friends, and that they were bound to do it, kind of a thing. And if I were in that situation, naturally, I would probably not only have done it, I would probably have taken the responsibility of getting the whole damn thing done. But even there were a few people who sort of came out from nowhere. I mean, they didn't even know what was going on, but they helped. So one incident that I can say is that after our wedding, my family had come, and my elder uncle stood in as Maya's father, and his wife, which is my Valiachan, as we call it, my mother's sister, elder sister, and a husband. They were well into their 60s. They came and they stood in as Maya's parents in the wedding ceremony. And we were all getting, then same evening they were all returning, and we came to the station, and somehow or the other, this elder couple, we first put them inside the compartment, and we all went went to our respective places. I was the last. And when I was about to go, and Maya and I, we were distributed over different compartments. So Maya was in a different compartment, and I went out and I told her that let me go and see whether everybody's on board. So just as I was there, these elderly couple, this is my Valichan and Valiamma, they were deboarded from the train. And and the train, the second bell had gone, and then the train was moving. And these people in their old age had come. I mean, imagine, they were very conservative people. I'm getting married to a Christian, and naturally they were not with entirely with it, but at the same time they said, okay, he's bringing a girl, so it's our responsibility to accept it, so it's our daughter. So with that kind of this thing, they came in and stood in as a parent, and they were out there in the platform, and the train was moving. So I did not know what to do. So one of my friends who were there in the platform, he jumped into the train and he pulled the chain.
Wow.
And the train went some distance, in fact, beyond the platform, and it stopped there. So then I walked with these people, got down from the platform, and now imagine they have to climb from the ground level, rail level, into this thing. So I helped them climb into that, and Maya, in the meanwhile, is all alone in her compartment. She probably would have guessed what happened, but I haven't had time to communicate with her. And so finally, I go clambering back into that bogie, and one official, some train inspector, he comes there, and he is trying to find out who pulled the chain, right? So I looked around, and then he was asking, who pulled the chain, who pulled the chain? So I went to him and I said, I pulled the chain. Because my friend was in the platform, he had gone. So I pulled the chain, and I was trying to explain to him and all that. He was in no mood to listen. He said, whatever explanation you want to do, you can do that to the station master, and we'll take the action. You deboard the train.
Okay.
Right? You have to get down. So I said, look, I just got married. This is my wife. We just got married today. We are going there and all that. Yeah, she too can deboard. And so he said, then out of nowhere, one guy comes in and he says, I am a retired TTE, right? You can take, you have the, what do you call, in extraordinary circumstances, you have the authority not to punish the person then and there. You must take him to the next station Here, there is not even a platform. And you are going to deboard this gentleman and this young girl onto this place. So you take them to the next station, detain the train, take them to the station master, and then if the station master then decides that they should stay, then you should release the train. So then, of course, things happened thereafter. We went to the next station and we explained to the station master. Those days, everything was not on the computer, so some human being could intervene. So the station master intervened and he said, all right, and all that. He gave me a warning and he let me go. But that person, I didn't even see him. I don't know from where he came. And he came and he sort of virtually, kind of overpowered this station master with his argument. The TTE with his argument and let us go. So I've taken good amount of time, leaving just about 15 minutes for Shankar. Shankar, you're on.
Okay, which is fine. I hate to even what I'm about to say after such an interesting discussion on compassion and kindness and the good nature of people, especially the good nature of people around here and people whom they come into contact with. But I will I would like to pursue this somewhat more in detail at the next call if I have somebody's permission to do that. But let me just introduce what I was about to talk or at least have a discussion on. So this past weekend, Saturday, I had asked a bunch of Georgia Tech students who meet with us occasionally and who meets regularly with a colleague of a friend of mine near the campus. They were going on a hike on Saturday. This is a kind of a rambling story, but I'll get to the main issue shortly. You'll find that there is a point to my discussion. It might not seem so at the moment, but so I said Ellen was busy co-hosting an 80th birthday party for another lady elsewhere, so at the house to myself. I asked these guys to come and we would have a workout. These guys, I love meeting with these youngsters. Well, young men and women, they're in their 20s, bright kids. Kind of reminds me of one of our earlier discussions where the topic was, what would you tell a 17-year-old as they're about to embark, and I listened to the things that these guys are doing. And I think Matthew was very prescient even then, saying, I wouldn't even venture into that territory. So that's what you said, Matthew. So these guys, they come over, varied backgrounds, lots of computer science people, the traditional ones, but a few in other fields that were different, So, in fact, there was an Indian guy from St. Stephen's College in Delhi who's doing in public policy. My goodness, coming all over here to learn public policy, and he wants to go back to India. The French guy, which is going to be what I'm going to talk about, not necessarily the French guy, did his PhD in aerospace engineering. And then he's currently working on a master's degree in operations research. Okay, right now. But so I asked this guy, I forget his name now. He's from Nantes in France. So what do you want to do with your aerospace? He says, he's interested in space technologies, but primarily he's interested in space logistics. Wow. Space logistics, it's very far removed from our traditional branches of engineering that you and I grew up in, but these kids are, into far out things, literally. So and we had this interesting discussion on space exploration, blah, 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 and they all went away, which, got me thinking about, and this is where I'm getting to. This got me thinking about our place on the planet, and I've been watching videos on, especially with the conflict in Ukraine and in the Middle East and famine in Sudan and Ethiopia, about all the stuff that's happening in the world. But it's just watching some YouTube videos on just who we are our planet, our solar system, hurtling through space, and then, undistinguished looking mid-sized star, and then the Milky Way, and then watching the size of the universe, the known universe, and they were talking about in millions of years, the oops, I've lost some of you there.
No, we are all here.
Can you see me?
Yeah, we can
Yep.
see you. We can,
Okay,
yeah.
great. I won't worry about it then. Talking about, our Milky Way galaxy colliding with the Andromeda galaxy, and talking about the distances in space. And it really wouldn't be a collision, but a really passing through of one galaxy with the other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, it just reminded me of how literally insignificant we are. And given all this level of insignificance, it started me thinking about our propensity for conflict and how much we are in conflict with each other. How much we've been in conflict with each other ever since life began. So the question was, is this the natural order of the universe? A sort of a natural increase in entropy of our reactions to one another. So, it made me think about war and conflict, and made me think about, is there such a thing as a just war? And that really is the topic I wanted to talk about. We won't have much time to discuss it, or maybe we can, but I want to explore it at another time. But what is a just war? I mean, is a just war a contradiction in terms? I mean, is there such a thing as a just war?
Yeah. That's a very good question. Can I answer? Can I take a minute to respond to that, Prakash?
Yeah. I mean, feel free to respond. I mean, I can go on and on.
No. Lupi, I suggest you hold on. Let him don't cut in.
No. I thought he finished. No.
Well, it was kind of a rhetorical question, but I'm happy to do whatever the moderator wants. So anyway, this whole idea of a war and a just war, years ago, 4th century, when Christianity became more of a religion that was accepted through when Charlemagne became the emperor, he was Christian, and you had Augustine, and 345 AD, and so on and so forth. There was the idea, there were a lot of early Christians were pacifists, if you will, but there was the idea of protecting the empire, the Christian empire. And the idea grew into, is conflict, is war acceptable? And there was some thinking over time. And Thomas Aquinas, really in the early 13th century, put together some information, or at least a thesis on criteria for that war can be just, and there are some ground rules for a just war. Just war theory came up, and it's been elaborated and massaged, and over time. And I just read some of the things that they talk about. What is a just war? I'll finish quickly, Murthy. I mean, I've got a lot to talk about, but we'll just talk about what the criteria as we know of it as for a just war. One is, it should be the last resort, okay? Only if all peaceful methods have failed. Number two, it must have a just cause. It must correct, a grave or an immediate danger. Number three, there must be valid authority to prosecute that war. It must have a consistent policy or a principle. Number four, it must have a high probability of success. You can't send people to die needlessly. Number five, proportionality. And this we can, I want to get into that later, not at this meeting. force must be proportional to what the rationale for the conflict is. No more, no less, no more than necessary. Bombing of Dresden, second bomb in Nagasaki, we can get into all that. And finally, there needs to be an exit strategy. It needs to be done quickly, and it needs to get out, end as quickly as possible. I'm going to stop here because that's all the time we really have for I'm going to talk. I would like to talk about this on some of my ideas later, but we can have a little discussion, and I know Murthy wants to say something.
Yeah. Before Murthy comes in, maybe if everyone agrees, we could carry this on to the next session to discuss about the just war theory. Matthew's showing his thumbs up. So anyway, we'll discuss it offline on the WhatsApp. So because Kashi, Sampath, so we could involve them, and we could have a round table like what Chetan sort of put together today on a just war theory. Everybody has time to think in. And Murthy, you are dying to come in, so here's your chance.
No, I'm not dying to come in, but on the other hand, you have about 4 or 5 minutes, and if I can take a couple of minutes, I think it's a very good topic. Actually, you touched on 2 topics. One is, see, it always fascinates me to look at young people and kind of saying that, wow, supply chain management in space, logistics in space, operations research in space, okay, and you need basic requirement is aerospace degree. You can take this to several layers, and that could be another topic, Prakash, for you to kind of think about. You can imagine, how these, intersecting industries kind of, give opportunities for jobs and et cetera, et cetera. That's going to happen with you or without me, or all of that stuff, right? The second piece of it is, there are, in these rules, at that time when they were written, whether it was Kurukshetra is the same story, right? Preserve the dharma. That's why you needed to go to that war. Fight your Guruji, all that stuff. But that is one piece of it, okay? That's the way the Hindus look at it, right? Or the Bharatiya looks at it. Other side of it is the example that you gave. But bottom line is the same thing. But see, this morning I was looking at it. On one hand, this is the US. This is where US gets a very bad name, and it deserves to get a bad name. Which is, on one hand, you say, come on, peace,
Yeah,
peace.
just a second. Just a second.
Just a minute. Let me complete the thought. And
no,
then
I'll let you. I will let you. I just want to check with Chetan. Does this get automatically cut off at 9:30?
No.
It doesn't.
No.
Okay.
It can go on. It can go on indefinitely.
No, and then you supply. The government has agreed to supply even more, including F-15s to Israelis. What's the point in, right? So that is really, that is a sham. That is totally a complete injustice. You talk about justice, I leave it at that, and that's enough. Because this is not a topic that will, it's a nice intellectual. There's no women listening to this, right? Are there? Are there?
Okay, Matthew, come in.
Okay.
No. I would
Shankar,
call it I am. You know what I am is. Other than that, there's nothing here. There's a nonsense. But I agree that it's a nonsense somehow. If we want to discuss it, feel good about it, that's all right.
It just so happens, Shankar, that a Swami friend of mine conducts a peace conference once a year in Chennai. And he has themes for this peace conference. I attended an earlier one in which the theme was the family is the cradle of peace. And I spoke against the motion. And the next peace conference is coming up this weekend, and I've been invited to it. And And the theme of this conference this weekend is going to be justice for peace, and I'm going to be speaking against the motion. And I'm just kind of preparing my my talk, and I'll share with you what I've got later on.
Okay.
And then I'd like to have your inputs before I go. I go on Friday, Thursday morning. from
Okay.
here.
Well, I'll be prompt.
I've come halfway. I'll send what I've done so far, and I'd love to have whatever inputs you all can give me.
So like before, we can have Matthew to Madras collection of thoughts this time, not meaning.
But great.
You know, one of the things I wanted to bring up was, we talk about World War II, it's as possible, just war. One of the things I wanted to bring up on the discussion was the Indo-Pak War of 71. Was that a just war?
All right.
So anyway,
Justice is a fiction. That's the first
exactly,
thing.
and I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that premise.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Given that,
Just speaking, Chetan,
Yes, sir.
Matthew, me, Balu, and who else? Yeah, Matthew, me, and Balu. Speaking on, and Kittu, speaking on whether 71 is just war or not is a very, very dangerous business. In India. Ompal will be a -4 next time.
Oh, why don't you guys have more like a panel, you three guys, and we can shoot questions at you guys. You talk, each of you, for 5 minutes, and like this format, and then you guys, we will ask you questions instead of a monologue. That'll be good. You three guys are the panelists on the wall.
No, Murthy, let's do it the way Shankar wants to the next time. Let's pursue just war. Let's not bring in very contentious Indo-Pakistan war and all that. And I'd like to conclude if no one else is dying to go. All right. So
When is the next meeting?
I think.
Next meeting.
The next meeting.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Give me a chance. Don't
fixing it.
Don't jump the gun. Yeah. First of all, thanks to Chetan for getting this into a round table format, and that was very nice. And I think the contribution. I mean, the contributions were all absolutely unique, including Ajmal, who's not there anymore. So thanks, Shankar, for doing that, and then bringing up a topic which I would probably never have thought of to propose. And secondly, well, I've done. I have actually done two as a moderator. One I myself turned up late. So this just war thing is very, very interesting. Maybe I'll do that as well, and then we can think about rotating if you want to. And that's it from my side. Next meeting, as already pre-scheduled, will go on next month. And topic, I think we've already got the topic, right? Just war concept, and then we'll do it one round on the WhatsApp. So if anyone has anything else to say, we'll leave it open before we freeze the topic.
Chetan, it looks like you mentioned that you're going to be traveling.
Yes, next time I am not at all. I am in Africa in a safaris at that time, so I won't be able to participate and turn on the machine. So
right. So the next meeting is, I guess, is scheduled for July 16th. Is the third Tuesday of the month, and I don't have an account like Zoom account like Chetan that has unlimited time. So. But I can, unless one of you have an account similar to Chetan,
We
I have a Zoom
we
account.
can do a Google Meet, and I can set that up if you want. And from India, so far I have found that Google Meet is not limited in time.
Sure. Okay.
In the US, I think you're limited to 1 hour or something. But if I do it from India, it seems to be allowing for more than.
Okay. All right, Matthew. I'll coordinate with you.
You tell me what date and all that. And I'll
Sure.
put it up.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, gentlemen.
Thank
My
you.
document is coming up in just a moment, Shankar,
Okay,
and all the rest of you.
Okay. All right.
bye
Okay.
then.
Good guys,
Bye.
wonderful,
Bye. See
wonderful
you. Thank you.
talking to all of you.
You're wonderful.
Bye.
Thank you.
3 cheers to Om Pals.
All right. Have a great trip, Shankar. Goodbye.
Yeah,
Thank you.
see you, Shankar.